Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I continue to bring you a video about the story of Hoài and Hùng, a story that begins with things that are simple, slow, and familiar, much like the rhythm of their everyday lives. Hoài morning begins before the sun has fully risen. The air still carries a thin veil of morning mist, and a gentle breeze passes through, making the leaves tremble ever so slightly. She slips on her familiar old jacket and steps out into the small garden behind the house, a place that has been part of her life for as long as she can remember, inseparable from who she is. Her hands move swiftly yet carefully, touching each row of vegetables and each plant as if she were speaking to them with patience and tenderness. She bends down to examine the roots that were mounded with soil the day before. The young roots have begun to cling more firmly to the earth, looking healthier and stronger than they did just days ago. Seeing this change, Hoài unconsciously pauses, her gaze slow and quiet. In that moment, she feels a sense of relief gently spreading within her, as if realizing that not only the plants are recovering, but she herself is also gradually finding her balance again after days weighed down by worry. To Hoài, the garden has never been merely a place to grow vegetables, harvest crops, and make a living. It holds the rhythm of daily life, a refuge where she can set aside heavy thoughts and unspoken exhaustion. Each time she steps into the garden, it feels as though she is separated from the outside world, left alone with thoughts that are deeply real and personal. The sound of soil crumbling, leaves brushing against one another, birds calling somewhere in the morning, all of it blends together, creating a rare moment of stillness amid a life full of pressure. She gently pulls out the weeds growing between the rows, her movements unhurried and calm. Every action carries care and attention, much like the way she quietly faces her own life, little by little, with patience and perseverance. Hoài understands that plants need time to grow, and people are the same. Not every difficulty can be resolved overnight, but if one does not give up, if one continues to tend and nurture, change will eventually come. The morning sunlight grows brighter, casting a soft golden glow over the garden. Hoài straightens up, lightly wiping the sweat from her forehead, her eyes still resting on the rows of vegetables before her. In that moment, she does not think too far ahead, nor does she rush to imagine what lies beyond. She simply focuses on the present, on this small garden, on a way of life unfolding slowly yet authentically, a place that has been, is, and will continue to be an essential source of emotional support for her through times of constant change. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I continue to bring you a video about the story of Hoài and Hùng, a story that begins with things that are simple, slow, and familiar, much like the rhythm of their everyday lives. Hoài morning begins before the sun has fully risen. The air still carries a thin veil of morning mist, and a gentle breeze passes through, making the leaves tremble ever so slightly. She slips on her familiar old jacket and steps out into the small garden behind the house, a place that has been part of her life for as long as she can remember, inseparable from who she is. Her hands move swiftly yet carefully, touching each row of vegetables and each plant as if she were speaking to them with patience and tenderness. She bends down to examine the roots that were mounded with soil the day before. The young roots have begun to cling more firmly to the earth, looking healthier and stronger than they did just days ago. Seeing this change, Hoài unconsciously pauses, her gaze slow and quiet. In that moment, she feels a sense of relief gently spreading within her, as if realizing that not only the plants are recovering, but she herself is also gradually finding her balance again after days weighed down by worry. To Hoài, the garden has never been merely a place to grow vegetables, harvest crops, and make a living. It holds the rhythm of daily life, a refuge where she can set aside heavy thoughts and unspoken exhaustion. Each time she steps into the garden, it feels as though she is separated from the outside world, left alone with thoughts that are deeply real and personal. The sound of soil crumbling, leaves brushing against one another, birds calling somewhere in the morning, All of it blends together, creating a rare moment of stillness amid a life full of pressure. She gently pulls out the weeds growing between the rows, her movements unhurried and calm. Every action carries care and attention, much like the way she quietly faces her own life, little by little, with patience and perseverance. Hoài understands that plants need time to grow, and people are the same. Not every difficulty can be resolved overnight, but if one does not give up, if one continues to tend and nurture, change will eventually come. The morning sunlight grows brighter, casting a soft golden glow over the garden. Hoài straightens up, lightly wiping the sweat from her forehead, her eyes still resting on the rows of vegetables before her. In that moment, she does not think too far ahead, nor does she rush to imagine what lies beyond. She simply focuses on the present, on this small garden, on a way of life unfolding slowly yet authentically, a place that has been, is, and will continue to be an essential source of emotional support for her through times of constant change. English translation ***. On her way to look for harvesting work, Hoài left the garden when the sun had risen a little higher. The familiar village road stretched out before her, lined on both sides with rows of trees standing silently as they watched the sparse flow of passers-by. She walked at an unhurried pace, her thoughts occupied with where she might be able to find work that day, which fields might still need extra hands. Each step carried the familiar hesitation of a life sustained by uncertain, day-to-day labor. It was on that very road that Hoài happened to meet Hung's mother. The elderly woman stood by the roadside, thin and fragile, her back slightly bent from age and years of hardship. When she recognized Hoài, she offered a gentle smile, a familiar expression, though tinged with quiet weariness. They stopped to talk, a simple, unplanned encounter, without formality or expectation, yet one that unfolded into a conversation far longer than Hoài had anticipated. They sat down by the veranda of a nearby, familiar house. The old woman spoke slowly, her voice neither raised nor complaining, as if she were merely recounting things that had long become part of everyday life. She mentioned the unresolved debt, the expenses that were still difficult to manage, and the worry that Tet was drawing near while nothing felt secure yet. Each word was chosen with care, not wanting to burden the listener, yet carrying the weight of a lifetime filled with concern. She spoke of her intention to go work far from home to earn extra money. Not because she wanted to leave, nor because she sought work for its own sake, but simply because there seemed to be no other choice. What left Hoài most stunned was when the woman admitted that she was hiding this plan from Hung. She feared that if her son knew, he would worry, overthink, and blame himself for not being able to fully take care of her. Unwilling to become an emotional burden to her child, she chose to endure quietly, arranging everything on her own in silence. Throughout the conversation, Hoài scarcely interrupted. She listened, her eyes fixed on the time-worn face of the mother before her. Every wrinkle, every pause between sentences stirred a deep ache in her heart. She understood that feeling all too well, the feeling of parents who are used to carrying the load themselves, choosing hardship for their own share, simply so their children might live in peace. Hoài finally spoke softly, her voice slow and gentle, without rushing to advise or dissuade. She expressed concern for the woman's health, reminding her to think more about herself and not push her body to the point of exhaustion. Her words were not forceful, only sincere, born of genuine care. She knew that some worries are not easy to let go of, especially for a mother who has spent her entire life living for her child. Within what seemed like an ordinary, everyday conversation, Hoài came to understand more deeply the heart of the mother sitting before her, a heart that endures in silence, accepts loss without complaint, and places her child's peace above all else. Without grand promises or the need for recognition, the mother continued to shoulder everything quietly, asking only that her son not be troubled by additional worries. And in that very silence, Hoài felt a profound compassion rising within her, slow yet persistent, lingering with each beat of a story that was still unfolding. By early evening, Hoài returned home as the sunlight had softened, stretching into pale golden streaks along the familiar road. Her body felt heavy with fatigue after a day of walking and thinking more than usual, yet inside her there lingered a warmth that was difficult to name. It was neither clear joy nor complete relief, but a quiet sense of peace slowly settling in, like the feeling of stepping back into the place where one truly belongs. She changed her clothes, washed her hands, and began preparing the meal. The small kitchen gradually warmed with familiar scents and ordinary sounds, the knife tapping against the cutting board, the gentle bubbling of boiling water, the soft evening breeze slipping through the window. Hoài worked in silence, her mind repeatedly drifting back to the morning's conversation, to the image of Hung's elderly mother and her slow, worry-filled words. At that moment, Hung unexpectedly appeared at the doorway. No warning, no phone call, he stood there, a trace of road dust still clinging to his clothes. Hoài paused briefly, then smiled softly. He had come home earlier than usual. Hung said he missed her, and also wanted to be able to go with her the next day to pick up Tony after school. His voice was gentle and unadorned, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Hung's presence made the house feel fuller. He helped her tidy up a few small things and asked a couple of simple questions about her day. Hoài did not say much, answering briefly, but the softness in her eyes was unmistakable. Some kinds of weariness do not need to be spoken. Having someone return at the right moment is enough to ease them. When the conversation turned to the earrings, Hoài shared that they were a gift from his mother. Hung was momentarily surprised. He looked at her a little longer, his expression slowly shifting into emotion. He did not speak right away, as if gathering his thoughts. His mother's initiative left him both startled and deeply moved. In that moment, he understood that quiet changes had been taking place, subtle, yet far from insignificant. Even so, Hung kept his familiar calm tone. He gently advised Hoài to take things slowly and not place too many expectations too soon. He suggested letting time provide its own answers, to see whether those changes would truly last. It was not doubt that guided his words, but the understanding that some things must be tested through patience, not haste. Hoài listened without. She understood what Hung meant and sensed the care behind his caution. In the small kitchen, under the soft yellow light of the late afternoon, their conversation unfolded gently, without drama, without tension. Everything seemed to be settling into its proper rhythm, neither too close nor too distant, allowing life to move forward naturally, without the need to rush toward any conclusions just yet. Under the warm glow of the evening lights, the space inside the small house grew quieter, softer. Pale yellow light settled over every familiar corner, making everything seem to slow down after a long day. Hung stood facing Hoài, saying nothing at first, simply reaching out to take her hand. His hand was warm and steady, carrying a very real sense of presence, unshowy, yet strong enough for Hoài to feel clearly. Hung looked at Hoài with a serious, composed expression. He said that he would protect her, would take care of her and Tony not through promises spoken in moments of heightened emotion, but through concrete actions, through being there every day, through small things done consistently over time. His voice was calm, unhurried, as if he were also reminding himself of the responsibility he had chosen. Hoài listened without responding right away. She gently tightened her grip on his hand, feeling the sincerity behind each word. To her, these were not unfamiliar promises, but the way Hung spoke made them different. No unrealistic vows, no distant visions of the future, only a commitment rooted in the present, enough for her to believe that she no longer had to carry everything alone. When Tony was mentioned, Hung's gaze softened. He understood that the child needed more than care, He needed a sense of safety, someone patient who would stay by his side. He did not say much, but every word was carefully considered, as if he had been thinking about this for a long time. Hoài sensed it clearly, and within her, a quiet warmth slowly spread, gentle, unobtrusive, yet enduring. That moment passed in a rare kind of peace. No one rushed to break it, no one needed further explanation. There was only the light, two hands held tightly together, and thoughts gradually settling into calm. The story paused there, carrying with it a quiet hope for healing that was taking place little by little, for bonds slowly being mended after wounds that had yet to be named. A small home was still taking shape, not complete, not perfect, but growing out of understanding, silent efforts, and love shown through tangible actions each day. Nothing had been fully said, nothing had gone too far yet, but it was enough to open the way to what lay ahead. Stay tuned for the next episode to follow the unfolding of the story.
Mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình nha. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến video của Hoài ca và Hùng nha mọi người. Cảm ơn mọi người rất là nhiều vì đã theo dõi video của mình. Cảm ơn mọi người. Bây giờ thì mình đang làm video nha. Cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều vì đã luôn yêu thương và đón xem những video của mình nhé. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong những video sau. Bye bye mọi người.